For the director one, if I can ask a question about how many staff are under each director, like the lists look quite long on the screen. And I love that our members are in higher roles. I think it's very important that they've worked towards that. I just worry about too many people under people and not being able to get, all the department managers being able to get that time with the directors. For the quarterly distributions, I agree with keeping it ongoing. There's a lot of programs and services that our members benefit from, but overall equality for members that's fair is distribution. So to keep that ongoing and look at it every year is a very good idea. And then the members website, like I was just going further down for the Let's Gather information. I just appreciate the work that's gone into that and to try to get that more up and going and more members using it, because I think it's very important to have a place where members can kind of log in or check in and review things. I know there's comments just recently on TFN's Facebook page, because it's so public. When they advertise for programs and services, everyone's commenting, oh, how come I can't attend? Or how come, Indigenous people that live in the area can't attend? So, I mean, for some things, it'd be nice to have more of a private, members-only postings for some of our programs and services. And just one more comment on the catering resolution. I just wanted to comment that I've heard a couple times that, they wanted to, the point of it was to give more to our caterers. And I've heard in the past that, caterers try to increase their bids going with the cost of living, the food costs and whatnot, but then they're told that their bid was too high. So then they drop it down. So they're not really getting what the intention of that resolution was. So just a comment on that. Heichka.
Legislature, for all of your thorough and thoughtful comments and responses. And I see that Twyla's taken some really good notes on those, and I'm sure that she'll bring them back to management and executive council as needed. So thank you very, very much. This is a report. There's no decision required for this. If you have any further questions or curiosities or require further clarification on any of these, please don't hesitate to reach out to staff or executive council to talk further about these resolutions. And thank you for the update, Twyla. And I think we'll move on to the next of our agenda. Which item is that? Oh, the introductions to the legislature resolution, or shall I say introduction to Legislator Taylor Baker's resolution. This is, we've got one resolution that's been tabled, and it's going to be introduced tonight. And as it's been introduced by the legislature, legislatures are welcome to ask any clarifying questions about the resolution. Keep in mind that full debate and voting will be occurring at the next meeting. Legislator Taylor Baker. And thank you so much for submitting that in advance so that people could check it out on the SharePoint and having a chance to read it in advance. Awesome.
Heichka Squeakle and Heichka River for the feather. And Heichka everybody for the opportunity to speak and share over what I'm bringing to the table this evening. I'm bringing forward a resolution called the Resolution for Tsawwassen First Nation Government to explore acquiring additional crab licenses, commercial crab licenses for members to lease. For full transparency, I'm a crabber myself in the community. I currently lease one of the TFN commercial crab licenses. TFN currently only has about 4 of commercial crab licenses that members can lease, so I would like to see this be increased. TFN holds a lottery draw every few years, and the lease isn't a lifetime lease to the member, allowing for all crabbers to have an equal opportunity if they wish. I'm bringing this forward today because I believe that crabbers in our community need more of a commercial opportunity to create employment and provide for their families close to home. We're a growing fishing community across our nation. More and more are being mentored out in the water by their friends and family, and buying their own vessels to go out on their own. We hear time and time again that we cannot rely on salmon for generations to come for not only food, but also an economic source. TFN also leases commercial salmon licenses to members, but they have not been utilized in years due to the decline in salmon stocks through TFN territory and the lack of commercial salmon openings. I hear that other nations also purchase more licenses for the community for the economic opportunity, and I'd like to see more Tsawwassen people in our territory receiving those same benefits close to home. So I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Resolution for Tsawwassen First Nation government to explore acquiring additional commercial crab licenses for members to lease. Whereas the Tsawwassen First Nation Strategic Plan 2026 to 2031 identifies member economic well-being, access to healthy traditional foods, exercise of harvesting rights, and sustainable economic development through TFN-led investments and initiatives as key priorities. Whereas salmon stocks throughout the Tsawwassen territory have continued to decline, resulting in significant reductions in harvesting opportunities and limiting the economic value of existing commercial salmon licenses that are held by members. And whereas expanding access to commercial crab licenses would provide members with more stable and viable opportunities for income generation, strengthen food security for families and the nation, and support cultural continuity through the ongoing practice of marine harvesting. Therefore, be it resolved that the Tsawwassen Legislature requests Executive Council to explore the acquisition of additional commercial crab licenses for members to lease, including a consideration of costs, member interests, and potential economic impact, and report back to the Legislature with recommendations. Heichka.
Heichka, Legislator. I need a seconder to confirm that this item can be debated at the next meeting. Do I have a seconder? Legislature, which legislator? Legislator Kwiakwia Andrea Jacobs is a seconder. Wonderful. Thank you very much for that resolution. Are there any questions of clarifications from legislators that that you have about this resolution that's on the table? Legislators? We'll have an opportunity for full debate on our next meeting. Did you raise your hand, Legislature Sultanat? Oh, you were just waving at my partner here? Your partner or my partner? Legislator Sultanat? Loretta Williams?
Okay, Heichka for the feather. And I did wave to, usually he acknowledges. Yeah. But again, this is in regards to what's happening with our neighboring and our family in Musqueam. How is that going to affect, and like our crabbing license? I think that's a really important thing that we have to consider. So is there a way of giving us follow-up after all of this newsworthy information, and how that's going to affect our salmon fishing and our crabbing? I think that's really important for all the crabbers around here. Yeah. Okay, Heichka.
Heichka, Legislature. I believe that our teams are exploring the impacts of recent agreements on our treaty rights and our harvesting rights. And as we take a deeper dive into that, then we'll have a better understanding of how we need to protect those and how they're impacted and how they can be protected. So we're just exploring that as the decision those agreements were just signed, and staff and just received a copy of those yesterday or today. So thank you. All right, legislators, thank you. Legislator Kwiakwia, you're going to excuse yourself. Thank you very much. I think you could take out your own feather right now, Andrea. That would be, Legislator, I think that would be appropriate. Heichka, thank you for being here, and thank you for all of your hard work tonight. Drive safe and be safe. All right, legislatures, thank you very much. Deidre, it's like being the speaker before lunch. We're, the last speaker of the evening. We're going to move on to the last item of the evening, where we'll hear an update on the Emergency Management Program, which is going to be some great information, I'm sure. And I'd like to call upon Deidre Elek, our Emergency Safety and Response Coordinator, to come up and present the report. Your hair's gotten longer. You're looking great. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you so much for sharing this update with us. Deidre?
Heichka Squeakle, Heichka Feather Runner. Is this my little clicker? Okay, so this is just going to give you an update of the Emergency Management Program. So my name is Klasia, my traditional name. My name is Deidre Alec, and I am from Chiam First Nation. I consider myself very fortunate to be working here on Tsawwassen lands and working for the nation. I was hired in March 2025 as TFN's Emergency and Safety Response Coordinator for the Municipal Infrastructure Department. The Emergency Management Program background. TFN emergency management gaps, under-resourced, not integrated or coordinated across Tsawwassen government, no clear roles, responsibilities during emergencies, TFN obligations as a local authority, emergency response and support to all residents, and 72-hour support for displaced persons, food, clothing, lodging, incidentals. TFN may provide enhanced emergency management support for TFN members. The Emergency Management Strategic Plan was developed with the previous gaps in mind and improved funding from emergency management and climate readiness. TFN collaborated with Logically Consulting and created the Emergency Management Strategic Plan 2025 to 2027. The purpose of the document helps to set out the vision, context, strategic priorities, and roadmap for TFN's emergency management program for the next 2 years. Formalizing the emergency management program structure, review existing policies, and determine overall gaps. A series of policies were proposed as part of the overall strategic plan in collaboration with policy staff. We are working to determine the best approach, as some of the recommended policies could be combined or worked with existing policies. The policies are emergency training and exercise policy, staff training commitments policy, staff deployment policy, staff reimbursement policy, emergency spending policy, financial aid policy, resource management, and mutual aid policy, monitoring and evaluation, crisis communications, volunteer management, and emergency information and data sharing policy. Review and adaptation to current needs. Existing emergency management program documents, policies, plans, MOUs with external entities, and mutual aid agreements were reviewed and identified gaps, pushed the need for creating new policies or adapting existing policies. Develop and maintain a list of policies relevant to emergency management with annual review to keep all plans current. Service levels were also identified in the strategic plan. All residents of the community are eligible for emergency assistance, whether TFN members, leaseholders, or renters. Our aim is to provide an emergency support services as defined in the provincial program. At a minimum, this includes 72 hours of accommodation, food, clothing, and incidentals for individuals and families who have lost their primary housing due to an emergency or disaster. Extensions or additional support may be available on a case-by-case basis. Program structure. Currently, our emergency response is largely informal, with some informal coordination across departments. While these are early efforts to improve capacity, these are not yet systemized. Over the next 2 to 3 years, we aim to formalize the emergency program and integrate it into all areas of the organization. Staff will be supported in understanding their roles and how to fulfill them during emergencies. Our long-term vision is fully adaptive and responsive emergency management system, where all departments, residents, and partners collaborate effectively before, during, and after an emergency. Emergency response capacity. Currently, we can manage small-scale, short-duration emergencies within the community. In the coming years, we'll strengthen our ability to manage these events over longer periods with internal resources. Ultimately, we want the internal capacity to effectively coordinate mid-sized events or larger-scale emergencies for a short duration, where TFN could reduce our reliance on external supports, but anticipate maintaining service agreements with Delta Fire and Delta Police Services. Some of the strategic priorities. Goal 1, formalize the emergency management program. Goal 2, build core capacity of the program. Goal 3, strengthen relationships with external partners. Goal 4, secure sustainable funding mechanisms. Our current focus: capacity building, training for staff, and tabletop exercises. Updating all emergency response plans for cohesive information. Updating or developing new policies. Developing an evacuation plan with a designated route. Developing an emergency management communications and public notifications plan. Heichka.
Thank you so much, Heichka, Deidre, for your presentation, and thank you for stepping up and being in front of the legislature. We really appreciate that, and appreciate your respect and your joy for working for our nation. And welcome. Legislators, do you have any questions about the update that you just heard about the emergency management plan? Legislator Assaltanot, Loretta Williams.
Okay, thank you for the feather and thank you for the presentation. I guess my question is, have you had a community type of meeting so everybody, you know, the regular folks could hear all of this? You know, because I think that's really important. If there's a natural disaster, you know, like, and how to, you know, like the not escape route, the evacuation route. And, you know, like I brought this up before, you know, like it's not, probably not your department, but we've got emergency kits. So I'm wondering if we're going to get all of that updated and make sure each household is up to date on that. So bottom line is, I think that we need a community type of gathering so you could pass this information on to them, and they may have different questions than the politicians. Okay, Heichka.
Heichka, Legislator Deidre.
One of the things that I am currently working on with communications is actually to develop a portal on the TFN website, so that way all members can have access to all the plans, emergency response plans, emergency management plans, policies, and acts. I'm hoping to be able to join at the next Elders Luncheon, and I'm also hoping to develop an emergency management fair that would help present some of this stuff.
Follow-up, Legislator Assaltanot.
Thank you for the feather. I think that's great, you know, like having it, like you said, not a fair, but a fair. So I'm sorry. But I think that's really important. And, you know, like, oh, I lost my question. But it's...
Legislature, you
oh,
were
you know
asking...
what it is? You sure have a lot of policies. I think you have about 13 or 14 policies. And whereabouts is this all going to go? You know, like I said, going to help you with the planning of the evacuation route and all this other stuff. So that's a lot of policy. Okay, Heichka.
Heichka, Legislator Deidre. And she also had asked a question about the kits, the emergency kits, if they were going to be updated at the homes.
Oh, yeah. Your question slipped my mind already.
What are the purpose of all of the policies?
There. Okay.
How do they help you?
They definitely help support the continuous work and making sure all the plans are up to date, making sure that staff is supported. Also to make sure that we can train across the organization, not just in one department. So these policies would help me with that. And as for I'm assuming they're talking about the grab and go kits. I'm reviewing all the contents right now, and I believe it's okay until October 2027, but I'm still checking them right now. So I am looking at replacing them.
Hajka, Deidre. Any other questions? Online, Legislature Spilogtuit, Terry Splogton.
Thank you. As training and tabletop exercise are being developed, will there be opportunities for members or community volunteers to participate?
Hajka, Deidre, did you get all of that? Thank you, Legislator.
There's definitely going to be some training available later on. One of the things that I made sure that I made a point of saying to EMCR is that as a nation, members would come in and help. And I needed a function to be able to include members to be able to help in an emergency situation. One of the trainings that I'm looking at is for emergency support services for members. And that will help with registrations and evacuations, because members know members.
Hajka, Deidre. Any other questions, legislators? Legislator Sultanat, Loretta Williams.
Hajka for the feather. You know, like you brought up training for the community to do certain duties and everything else. That kind of reminded me when working in the school system, they'd have an earthquake drill, a fire drill, and then they'd have different people delegated for that, you know, making sure all the classes were out. So I think that's a good thing. And are you going to have, I was going to say a fake emergency so we could get it, you know, once all the training is done, so we could all know what the heck to do. Okay, Hajka.
Hajka, Legislator Deidre.
I am definitely developing drills that could happen for the evacuation. One of the things I was thinking about was having a community evacuation drill where everyone can time themselves to get them to higher ground, and we can see who's the shortest and who's the longest.
Hajka, Deidre, and the slowest will have to buy lunch. Thank you very much, Deidre. It's a good update to have. Legislature Spilogtuit, Terry Splogton. You just got in under the wire there.
When emergency notifications are developed, what methods will be used to notify residents quickly?
Hajka for the question, Legislator. Deidre, did you catch all that? Thank you.
When an emergency happens, right now we're reviewing two different types of notifications for members. So whether we're doing an opt-in where you have to register beforehand to be able to get the emergency notifications and the directions on what to do, or we can do an opt-out. That means the message gets pushed to everybody in the area. So we're balancing the different options right now to see which fit would work best for the nation.
Hajka, Deidre, wonderful. Thank you so very much. Appreciate the questions that have come out of this update. Legislators, looking forward to the update at the Elders Center, looking forward to the information fair, looking forward to some continued communication and engagement on our emergency management plan, and really thank you for all the work that you and your collaborators have put into this. It's been on the top of our legislators and our community mind on what to do in our emergency, so we can see it coming together. So we look forward to being informed and updating and helping out where we can. So thank you so much, Deidre. Thank you, legislatures. Of course, if there are any other questions that come to mind, staff are available. Deidre and Sean are available to support those questions. So it's never a closed conversation when it comes to this type of work, as it's continual. Legislators, thank you. Thank you, legislators online. Thank you, legislators in person. Haichka, Haisapka. This concludes our business for this evening. We got through it in a reasonably great time. Thank you for all of your contributions. Haichka to Connie Adams for the first time doing an opening prayer. We really appreciate stepping up and doing new things and supporting our community and our legislature in this type of work. Dayton Jacobs Mail, we're so grateful for him for being a youth that comes to support us, and he came to support us for the table blessing before we ate our dinner. I also want to raise my hands to River for his first night and his first experience as a feather runner. Thank you very much. You kind of got off easy because a good handful of legislators aren't here. So when we've got a full house, it could have been a bit busier. So I think we sort of eased you into it. So we hope you come back and support us again. Thank you so much, River. We really appreciate you being here to support this work for the legislature. For Osiaza Catering, thank you again for providing a nutritious and a delicious meal. And I especially like the little cream cheese cupcake, right, Mark? And thank you to our advisory council members that are here in person. We really appreciate that, and any advisory council members that might be online. Staff, as always, we are so grateful for you to be here, and also to your families for giving you up. We know how important family time is, and it is how time goes by fast. So thank you to any guests that are watching online. We thank you very much for your participation tonight. Just want to say a little prayer of wellness to all of our legislators, 6 of them that are not here, that are not feeling great. Please take care of yourselves, rest and hydrate, and we hope that you're well enough for our last meeting to be here in person. Thank you for staying home so the rest of us don't get sick, but we sure hope you get better fast. I want to say thank you to Jessica Cross McCauley, for drumming us in. It's the first time that she's done such a public drum and singing. We really appreciate that. And she sang the song, the Woman's Warrior Song, which is appropriate seeing as we've got International Women's Day coming up. And so it's always good to remember the strength of our matriarchal community and the matriarchs that led a lot of our journeys to bring us here to where we are. So thank you again for the privilege and the honor of being your squeakle tonight as we listen to Jessica drum us out. Haichka, this meeting is adjourned.
cheat sheet.